A jury in Manhattan finding Daniel Penny not guilty today, clearing the Marine veteran of any criminal wrongdoing for putting a man in this fatal chokehold on the subway last year. Some in the courtroom erupting in anger, others in relief, as crowds of demonstrators gathered outside reflecting the deep divisions the case has sparked.
Justice for Jordan Neely.
Penny's defenders casting the 26-year-old as a folk hero for protecting other subway riders who described Jordan Neely's behavior that day as frightening and threatening.
The whole train was freaked out.
While others view Neely's death as an indictment of a broken mental health system that failed to protect a vulnerable 30-year-old man, a former Michael Jackson impersonator experiencing homelessness.
I just want to say, I miss my son. It hurts.
This video of Penny putting Neely in a chokehold for 6 minutes going viral. His defense team had argued at trial Penny didn't cause Neely's death, placing blame instead on a genetic condition, his struggles with mental illness and alleged drug use.
When you have someone repeatedly going through that system, that's a signature of failure.
The judge tossed out the top charge of manslaughter on Friday and sent jurors home after they said they were hopelessly deadlocked, returning today to deliberate for just a few hours on the lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide. The DA's office saying in a statement, quote, "The jury has now spoken. We respect their verdict." Laura Jarrett, NBC News, New York.
How's it feel?
Feels great. He's finally got the justice he's deserved. This should have happened probably on day one, but the point thing is it happened. So we can't control the timing of it, but you can certainly savor the outcome.
His actions were justified. He was trying to help people on that train, and he did. He's not responsible for the death because the death was caused by a lot of other factors.
All right, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Relief Valve Podcast. Second update here for everyone. You've already heard about this. Daniel Penny has been found not guilty for the murder of Jordan Leary, the crazed Michael Jackson impersonator that was threatening to kill everybody on the subway train that he put in a chokehold to restrain him. This is good news, and this guy's a hero. I know people are trying to turn this into a race thing and trying to turn this into a bad thing, but the situation in New York has been awful. It's the criminals are given all the consideration, and the tax-paying citizens are all the ones that are at risk. The prosecutor for this was a horrible left-wing woman. She was, there was a record of an interview that she was in where she was talking about a situation about another criminal faced murder charges because he had attempted to murder, I believe it was an older Asian man. He was in his 80s. And in the attempt to rob the guy, the older man fell to the ground, had a stroke or a health episode, and ended up dying as a result of that. So very rightly so, this criminal was facing, by their law, murder charges for the guy dying during the robbery attempt. Now, this stupid left-wing woman is going on there saying, well, after I got to know the guy and I got to know his past and the things he'd been through and why he was doing what he was doing, as tragic as it was, I understood, and we gave him levity and leeway on his sentence. So he ended up paying like $300 and being released on probation for murdering a guy. This is what this left-wing scumbag prosecutor did. So a legal tax-paying citizen was killed by a criminal, and New York allowed the criminal to walk free with a little slap on the wrist and a little fine. This was the scumbag prosecutor that was working on behalf of the DA's office to prosecute Daniel Penny. They failed. Multiple witnesses came forward and said that they were scared for their lives because of Jordan Levy, whatever the fuck his name was. And that they were glad that Daniel Penny took that action and protected the people on that train. And more needs to happen with just the criminals and scumbags and people in New York that are taking advantage of legal tax-paying citizens who don't get the protection they need anymore because the Democratic Party gives more understanding to criminals than they do to the taxpayers that pay to help keep these cities running and pay for them to be protected. and instead they get put in the back seat and the criminals get front and center. So it's very good news that Daniel Penny got let off on this. Of course, my advice to him is get the hell out of New York City and go somewhere safe, because he's going to have a target on his back from the criminals in Black Lives Matter. But the other thing that you saw there in the clip that I played was Jordan's father talking about, oh, I'm so sad, there's a pit in me, and yada yada. This guy's been absent from Jordan's life for 10 years, maybe more. Hasn't given a shit about his son whatsoever. His son was in and out of the foster care program. His mother had been killed or killed herself or something. And he had no family, no one was staying with. He had 46 arrests on his profile, I believe. A couple of them being kidnapping a little girl and punching a 67-year-old woman in the face. In fact, I believe he had a warrant out for him at the time that the interaction between him and Daniel Penny happened, where he was choked out. He already had an open warrant for his arrest. Had he been found by the police, he would have been immediately arrested if this event hadn't happened. And it might have been for punching the elderly woman in the face. So the guy was a drug user, a criminal, an absolute scumbag, begging people for money on the subway and then threatening acts of violence if they didn't come through with it. So people on here, on multiple places, on Rumble, on YouTube, here on TikTok, should not be getting this twisted. Jordan is not a poor, helpless victim that was just in his Michael Jackson costume and entertaining the crowd. He was a whacked out scumbag criminal that was he said, I'll die right now. I'm gonna kill somebody today. I'm gonna go after all of you. He was making threats to everyone, and all of these people came to Daniel Penny's defense at his trial and testified that this guy was scaring him. They believed his threats and they feared for their lives. And it was not for Daniel Penny. And by the way, 2 other people of color that helped hold Jordan down. I think one was a black guy, one was a Spanish guy, who also testified in the trial and said that, yes, we helped to hold Jordan down while Penny had him in the chokehold. We did our part to help as well, because we could see how unhinged this guy was. And it just happened that you ended up with that end result. But Daniel Penny's innocent. Jordan was another criminal scumbag making people's lives in New York worse. And Daniel Penny should not be vilified over what he did. We should all hope that more good Samaritans will step up and defend those that can't or won't defend themselves. So this was a good thing for everybody, and I'm happy to see Daniel Penny getting at the bar, having drinks, and getting back to enjoying his freedom again after all of this. And I hope he gets the hell out of New York, because he needs to. All right, thanks everyone. Like, share, subscribe to the show here on TikTok as well, on Rumble and on YouTube. The long form portion of the show is going to be coming back soon. I do that for about an hour long, and then I get into much more detail than what I can do here. And I multicast on that, on YouTube, on Rumble, and eventually I'll be live streaming here on TikTok as well. All right, so like, share, subscribe. Thanks everyone. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you again soon.